The most aggressive thing you can do to your trading account this year is cut your risk to a fifth of what it is right now. Not double it, not press harder on the good days, cut it. And I know exactly how that sounds because the arithmetic looks like it's on your side. Risk 10, make 30. Risk 1,000, make 3,000. Same setup, same edge, 100 times the money. That maths is correct. It is also the reason most of the people reading it are down this year. So here is what I am actually claiming, and I want you to hold me to it. By the end of this video, you will have 3 numbers written down: your daily stop, your risk per trade, and the number of attempts that buys you. And you will have the arithmetic showing why the smaller ones grow an account faster than the bigger ones. Not because it feels safer, because it outcompounds them. If I do not prove that with numbers by the end, close the tab and never come back. Start where everyone starts, which is the wrong place. Around 95% of retail traders lose money over the long run, and almost all of them go looking for a better strategy. But there are profitable strategies everywhere, simple ones you could learn in a fortnight, which means most of the 95% are probably already holding an edge that somebody else is being paid by. Same rules, same market, different outcome. So the leak is somewhere else. And there's decent evidence about where. Work on retail sizing behavior keeps finding the same thing. Most traders are not sizing from their risk at all. They are sizing on feel, on how confident this one looks. And a large share are doing it backwards entirely, picking the number of contracts first, then hunting for a stop that fits it. That is the whole disease in one gesture. The size should fall out of the stop. Instead, the stop gets bent around the size. Now do a thought experiment with me, honestly, because your answer is the entire video. Imagine you take 10 losing trades in a row, and each one costs you £1,000. How do you feel at the third, at the fifth? By the seventh, are you still taking the next valid setup exactly the way you took the first one? Of course you are not. Nobody is. That is not weakness, that is being a person. Now run it again and make each loss £1. 10 losses. You are down £10. Is your hand shaking on the mouse? Are you exiting early, widening stops, skipping the 11th trade? No, and nothing about you changed between those two versions. Same trader, same setups, same market. The only variable was the size of the number, and the size of the number rewrote your behavior completely. That is not a personality flaw. It is measured and it has a name. In 1979, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky published the paper that eventually took a Nobel Prize. One of the experiments is almost insultingly simple. They offered people a coin flip. Tails, you lose 100, heads, you win. And they varied the win. How much did the winning side have to be worth before people would take an even odds bet? Roughly 200. Double. A loss lands about twice as heavily as the same sized gain feels good. That ratio is held up across basically every population anyone has tested. Sit with what that means at your desk. It means when you put real money at risk, you are not a rational instrument executing a plan. You are a person carrying a weight that is twice as heavy on one side, trying to hold a hand steady. And you cannot read your way out of it. You cannot meditate it away or print a quote and tape it up or decide to have no feelings on Monday. I have watched people try for years. The wiring does not take instructions. But here is the part that matters, and it is genuinely good news. You do not have to beat the wiring. You just have to stop feeding it. The weight is proportional to the number. Shrink the number and the weight shrinks with it. Nothing about your character has to change, only the arithmetic on the ticket. So here is the protocol, and it is 3 numbers. Write them down. Number 1, your daily stop. The absolute most you are willing to lose in a single session. Somewhere between 0.5% and 1% of your account. And be careful which account number you use, because this is where people quietly cheat. Not the number printed at the top of the platform. The number you can actually afford to lose before it changes how you sleep. For a lot of traders, those are wildly different numbers, and the gap between them is where accounts go to die. Number 2, your risk per trade. And this is the part almost nobody does. Do not put the whole daily stop on one trade. Split it across 2, sometimes 3, which puts each individual trade somewhere around 1/5 to 1/2%. Number 3 falls straight out of the one you just wrote. Attempts. 3 chances to catch a setup that actually belongs to you in one session. Now watch what that split actually does, because the downside does not move at all. One trade carrying the full 1%. You lose, you are red for the day, and you are done. The session keeps going without you. The setup you were actually waiting for turns up at 2:30, and you watch it. 3 trades at 1/3% each. You lose all 3, and you have lost exactly the same 1%. Identical downside, same floor to the penny. But you got 3 swings instead of 1, and your hands were steady for all 3. Now, and this is the part the internet always skips, so I'm going to say it plainly. More attempts is not permission to take more trades. If anything, you have to get more selective, not less. Each of those 3 still has to be a setup that meets your written criteria. The moment you take one because you still have budget left, you have turned the advantage into a leak. And there is a harder condition underneath all of this, which is the honest bit. Splitting your risk across 3 attempts only helps if the setup has a positive expectancy in the first place. 3 swings at an edge that does not exist is not 3 chances. It is bleeding 3 times instead of once. Smaller risk buys you clean execution. It does not manufacture an edge you never had. So run the expectancy line on your last 50 trades before you touch any of this. If that number is negative and you follow your rules, sizing is not your problem yet. The strategy is. Assume it is positive. Now the small risk starts paying you in ways that never show up as a rule. Because the trade is small, the feeling is small. And because the feeling is small, you can do the single hardest thing in this profession. You can hold a winner. You are not closing at the first pullback. You are trailing the stop and letting the thing actually finish. And you are not hesitating on entries either, because the honest answer to what if this one blows the account is that it mathematically cannot. You built that in before the session started. And now the coin flip comes back. Remember, people needed roughly double before they would accept the risk. When you are risking 1/3% to make 1 or 2, you are not fighting that wiring anymore. You are finally on the right side of it. The bet your brain has been begging for is the one now on the screen. Which explains something that has probably been annoying you for years. Why does half the internet preach a fixed 1 to 2 target? Take the money, get out. It is fear, wearing a rule as a costume. A fixed target feels safe because it is certain, and certainty is the thing nobody can get from a market. So people grab a number that feels good enough and leave to stop having to not know. They are not optimizing for profit, they are optimizing for relief. And if the session was offering 8R that day, capping yourself at 2 was never a rule. It was a nervous system with a spreadsheet. There is a second thing small risk quietly fixes, and almost nobody connects it. Your win rate. Every time fear makes you exit early, a winner becomes a scratch. Every time panic makes you widen a stop, a clean small loss becomes an ugly big one. Every time you skip a valid setup because the size scared you, that is a winning trade you simply never took. None of those show up in your journal as bad strategy. They show up as bad luck. They are neither. They are position size, arriving in disguise. Now the other direction, because you should see what the big version actually costs. Say you are risking 5% a trade, and you hit a losing streak, which happens to everybody eventually. You are down 50%. Here is the part that should genuinely frighten you. To get back to where you started, you do not need 50%. You need 100. You have to double what is left just to break even. And the table gets worse fast. Down 10, you need 11. Down 20, you need 25. Down 50, you need 100. Down 80, you need 400. That is not a psychological problem. That is a wall, and it gets steeper the further you fall down it. And it is that wall, not the losses themselves, that turns ordinary traders into revenge traders. Which brings me to the actual proof of the thing I claimed at the start. Aggression in trading is not how big your position is on any one trade. It is how fast the account compounds. Those are two completely different things, and almost everyone confuses one for the other. Here is the mechanism. If you risk a fixed percentage, that percentage is always taken from your current balance, not the balance you started with. So the smoother your curve, the bigger that 1% gets in actual money week after week. Every drawdown does the opposite. Your balance drops, so your 1% is now a smaller amount of money, at exactly the moment you needed it to be growing. A drawdown does not just cost you money, it quietly resets your compounding clock. And the trader with the smooth curve, holding winners because nothing frightened them out, is compounding on a line that keeps going up. That is the whole claim, and that is the arithmetic. Big risk feels aggressive in the moment. Smooth, uninterrupted growth is what actually wins the decade. So do this now, while the market is shut and nothing is at stake. Take the card. 3 numbers. Your daily stop. From the money you can genuinely afford to lose, not the number printed on the platform. Your risk per trade, that number divided by 2 or 3. And your attempts, which is simply how many swings that buys you before you are done for the day. Then go into the platform tonight and set the daily loss limit to match. Not in your memory, in the software, where the version of you at 2:30 cannot renegotiate it. Because that is the real point of all of this, and it is not really about money. Decided once on a calm Sunday by the version of you with nothing on the line. Never renegotiated at 11:40 on a Tuesday by the version of you who is down and wants it back. Risk small enough that the person at the keyboard stays the person who wrote the plan. That is the entire game, and it costs nothing to start tonight. You are not trying to win the week. You are trying to still be here in 10 years, compounding on a line that never had to be rebuilt.